Hello and welcome back to another episode of MLM Horror Stories. This is a series on my channel where viewers will send in their shocking, horrific, disturbing, sometimes lighthearted and funny stories about their experiences with multi-level marketing companies. And guess what? This is the 94th episode in this series, which means that there is no shortage of people out there who've been negatively impacted by MLMs. And these videos are the platform to share those stories and to get the word out about the dangers of them. So you know what to look for, you know how to protect yourself because knowledge is power. But these stories are very entertaining too, so I do hope you enjoy them. I've had lots of people tell me that they just binge through the horror stories playlist on my channel, kind of like a podcast, and I think that's so awesome. And I always say I can never have too many stories, so if you have your own MLM experience that you would like to have considered for a video, the instructions for how to send that to me are in the description box down below. It's very, very easy. You just send me an email. So without further ado, let's get into these stories today. I have 6 of them for you, and I think you're really gonna enjoy them. There are some doozies, so let's get into it. This story says, "Hi there, Hannah. I've had many run-ins with MLMs that are not particularly noteworthy, but I have a couple gems for you from one particular well-known and shady one. Story number 1. When I was 16, I was asked on a date by a family friend who was 6 years older than I was. Red flag number 1, but he was a friend of my older brother and I was friends with his younger sister, but I was naive. I was a nerdy, awkward teenager who didn't get asked on many dates, so I was excited. The date was at a local Wild West variety show dinner theater. I'd been there before and I knew it would be good food and a fun show. What I didn't know was that this guy had gotten free tickets to the dinner show with the condition that he stay afterwards for a, quote, special presentation. Yup, little 16-year-old me was forced to awkwardly sit in on my very first Amway pitch by the dinner theater owners. And I remember the "you make money on the stuff you already buy" really stuck out to me. My parents were never particularly well off and I naively thought that they might be interested, so I accepted their cassette tapes, yes, cassette tapes, in 2004 to show them at home. Thankfully, they knew right away that it was a scam and they took care of returning the tapes. On an unrelated side note, the guy who asked me out was a serial dater of teenage girls into his late 20s, and he proposed to his now wife a few years later at her high school graduation. Don't love that particularly, but okay. They're still together and they seem happy, but wow, better her than me, I guess. I feel like we all know that one guy from high school who just never really left, and the dating pool for them, rather than being people their own age, was just girls from high school. Not great. Story number 2, fast forward to 2017, I'm now married with a toddler and an infant. I woke up to an overdraft notice email for our bank account. Money was tight and I was a stay-at-home mom at the time. We'd recently gone through expensive IVF for our 2 kids, and while we were doing okay, we were still living paycheck to paycheck. We looked at our online account and there was a check cashed from our account for $600. The image scan of the check clearly showed a badly forged signature of my name made out to a man that we had never met, with Amway written on the notes line. This story actually popped up in my Facebook memories today, so I've attached that screenshot that I took of the check and I cropped to remove personal info. The signature is fake, but I would appreciate blurring it to remain anonymous. We rarely used actual checks, so I was terrified that our house was broken into until my husband told me that he kept a checkbook in his desk at work. A night custodian had stolen a single check from the checkbook in his desk. I can only imagine that he must have assumed that it wouldn't be missed and that my lawyer husband could float it. Thankfully, a call to the bank for check fraud got the funds back in our account, but that was a really stressful day for us. Yeah, I'm sure that would be really stressful. You wake up and $600 are just missing from your account. That's natural to be like, where the heck did it go? And thankfully, they scanned the check. You can see exactly what happened and you can put the pieces together for yourself. And I'm so glad to hear that you were able to get that money back. Thank goodness. As I said before, I've had many MLM encounters, including being chatted up by a makeup hun at Target, teacher coworkers selling Scentsy in 31, a couple family members getting into Rodan and Fields for a hot second, being cold messaged and advertised to on Facebook by acquaintances, by Beachbody, Thrive, It Works, Mary Kay Lip Scent, Stampin' Up, Norwex, Paparazzi, doTERRA, Color Street, Arbonne, just to name a few. A few? It's like you named every single MLM. Oh my goodness. That's a lot of people in your life who were involved in MLMs. And even being sucked into Usborne Books as a new mom for 6 months and having multiple family members who make their living on the corporate side of MLMs, but my Amway encounters were by far the worst. Thank you for fighting the good fight, and I hope you have a lovely day. Thank you. I hope you have a lovely day too. And as I said, I can only imagine the sinking gut feeling that you have when all of a sudden there's just hundreds of dollars gone from your bank account. And aside from calling the bank to get the money put back in, all we can really do is make assumptions about why this even even happened. What motivation must this night custodian at your husband's workplace have to steal money from your husband in the name of Amway? He wrote on the notes line that it was for Amway, something to do with that business. So was it that he was placing a large order of products for himself? I would be really interested to know what day of the month this took place on, because if it was towards the end of the month, then I think we could make some assumptions about maybe there was some quota that he had to fulfill. There was some order requirement that he was trying to hit. Maybe he owed somebody on his team money, because they're always shuffling money to each other, right? You place this order for me, I'll pay you back. Let's hit this rank together as a team, and then we'll make money back in commission, and then we'll split it all up. And you just don't know what this $600 was for, but we can definitely speculate. There's lots of options in an MLM scheme about what might be going on here. But one thing I think we can say for sure is that whatever position he was in, it was a desperate one. And that really speaks to the pressure that MLMs place on people. This is supposed to be something that is going to create financial freedom for you. You're supposed to be making tons of money. This is supposed to become your full-time job. This is something that's so easy, quick, easy money out of it. But time and time again, we have examples of people who are acting in desperate ways like this. It completely debunks the entire idea of what we think MLM is supposed to be for. It doesn't cause financial freedom. It does not make you quick, easy money. It puts you in these horrible crunch time, desperate positions where you are stealing money from people in some cases. That's kind of the foundation of this horror stories series, right? Look at all these crazy experiences of these wild, insane things that people in MLMs will do in the name of money, in the name of trying to be successful, to try and make something out of it. And let me tell you, there are way more examples of people being harmed by MLMs than there are of people being successful in them. Obviously, it was wrong and a crime for the night custodian to steal money, but it also makes me sad to think about what kind of distressed, desperate situation he must have been in to stoop that low. His feeling the need to steal money to make ends meet with Amway kind of debunks this whole idea that you're just spending money buying the things you would already be buying with Amway, except for now you're part of this business opportunity where you can make money from it too. Because if you're not familiar, Amway sells everything. Toilet paper, paper towels, soaps, supplements, household cleaners, everything. And so they say, rather than buying those things from the grocery store or from Costco, just buy them from Amway instead, and the money you're spending is going to go towards this business opportunity that you're involved with. Okay, well, if it's so easy and this is just money you would be spending elsewhere anyway, then why are we having people stealing hundreds of dollars from a lawyer in the middle of the night? This makes me more and more sad the more I think about it, because I don't know what the startup cost is for Amway, but I suppose we could imagine a scenario where this night custodian attended an Amway pitch a couple nights prior, caught the vision, was sold the dream, thought that this is going to be his way out, this is his way to make a ton of money, maybe even leave his night custodian job, but he just needs to come up with the startup costs. And maybe this was the quickest, easiest access to that money that he could think of. The entire thing is a really unfortunate situation. It's unfortunate for him, for that terrible position he was in, whatever it was, and it's also unfortunate for you and your family who had $600 stolen from them in the name of an MLM. Truly a wild and sad scenario on all sides, and thank you for sending in this story. I've got even more entertaining and shocking MLM stories coming your way, but first, a moment for today's sponsor, Typology. Typology is the reason that I almost never wear face makeup anymore, and my skin is the happiest and healthiest it's ever been. Typology is a line of French-made skincare with short, minimalistic formulas made with over 80% ingredients of natural origin. My best kept beauty secret, which is not a secret at all if you think about it, because I will tell anybody who will listen, is Typology's line of tinted skincare. Take a look at this. This is not foundation. This is Typology Tinted Serum. I use the shade Light and I apply it with my fingers just like I would any other skincare product, and it's formulated with vitamin C, squalane, and aloe vera. This is going to brighten your complexion and hydrate your skin while also providing a light, natural, no makeup finish. Same goes for the tinted concealer. This is enriched with caffeine and niacinamide to reduce the appearance of dark circles and puffiness in the long term while also providing that immediate coverage as well. I also love the tinted lip oil. This rounds out my favorite tinted trio of Typology products. It's got squalane, jojoba oil, and vitamin E with a really subtle and beautiful tint to it, so it's very hydrating with a glossy finish without being sticky like a lip gloss would be. What's appealing to me about Typology tinted skincare is that it's going to give you that immediate visual payoff while also providing lasting benefits to your skin in the long term. It's perfect for everyday wear when you want to feel put together but you're not loving the idea of a full coverage heavy makeup look. I do wear mascara and false lashes when I'm filming videos, but I pretty much haven't touched my foundation, concealer, or lip glosses since I started using Typology 6 months ago. I've been using Typology while filming every single video since July of last year, and I don't think I'm ever going back. If you'd like healthy, fresh, glowing skin heading into the new year, I cannot recommend Typology enough. I am so confident you're gonna love it just as much as I do. And if you shop over $40 using my link in the description box below within the next week, then Typology is gonna give you a bottle of their Bi-Phase Eye Makeup Remover for free. Thank you, Typology, for your continued support of the channel. Now let's get back into these MLM horror stories. This one says, "Hi Hannah, first off, I hope you and your family are doing well. Please give the fur babies some head scritches for me." I will. "I'd like to remain anonymous, please. A few years ago, in 2017, if my memory serves me correctly, I was involved with the MLM Unique. Looking back, I don't understand, beyond wanting to help a friend out, why I got involved in the first place. I'm generally a very wash and wear type of girl, and makeup usually consists of chapstick and maybe mascara if I'm feeling fancy. I tried the Unique Fiber Mascara because the aforementioned friend asked if I would be a party model for her, and I agreed, as we had been wanting to hang out and I thought this would be a good way to do so. She talked me into signing up to get the starter kit, quote, because of the value as opposed to buying the product separately. I had no intentions of being a rep. Next thing I know, I'm getting phone calls and text messages from her two uplines, who are now my uplines because she signed me up as a rep instead of just wanting the discount. Now, mind you, I'd never spoken to or even knew of these two ladies before. They now had all of my contact info and were calling me, texting me, and sending me glitter bomb welcome to the girl boss gang cards in the mail. Yes, they had cards specially made that said that and would rain glitter down when you open them. That is enraging. I'm sorry. If I get a glitter bomb card in the mail, I will be pissed." What a mess. What a disaster. I can't even. "After about a month of nagging from my friends in the uplines that I might as well go all in, I agreed to do a few Facebook Lives. I can remember after the second one, I called the upline in tears because I was so sick to my stomach from the sheer guilt of acting that I really gave a crap about the makeup. Her words to me were, 'You're just nervous. You just need to get used to it.' And then she hung up. Flash forward about 2 to 3 months later, I found out that I was going to have some major surgery and decided that I needed to step away. In all honesty, that was my excuse to get away from all the craziness, so I walked away with the usual gripes and groans that come along with that. The beginning of last year, the main one of the uplines reached out to me on Facebook knowing that I've owned a small craft/crocheting business since I was about 14, and she said that she would like a couple of hats for an upcoming vacation. I told her no problem. She gave me the colors and sizes, I gave her my price, and we agreed on a time and place to meet for her to get the hats. That day came and I'm waiting at the place we decided on. It's about 15 minutes till, and I texted her to let her know that I was there and inside. No response. 5 minutes till, I texted her to see if she was there. No response. 5 minutes after time, I thought that maybe she was just running late. I texted her again. No response. 10 more minutes and I called her, straight to voicemail. So I left. It was obvious what had happened. 2 hours later, I received a text from her saying, quote, "It's not nice when someone you're counting on for a paycheck backs out, huh? Maybe you'll remember that next time." How dare she? She has got some nerve doing something like that. Because this is not an MLM business. This is your personal craft and crocheting business. You made a handmade good for her. You took time out of your life to drive somewhere to sit and wait for her. You made something custom for her. And in the end, it was all a ploy to get you to waste your time. I think the difference here is the intention behind it. You weren't trying to waste her time back in the day when you were with Unique. You just realized, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I'm out. Sorry that impacted her paycheck. That sucks, but that's kind of how the MLM works. So if you don't like it, maybe you should get out. But the difference in this situation is she had malintent. She did that to intentionally hurt and harm you and to waste your time and energy. The intention behind it is completely different. And just because a team member of yours quit Unique back in the day does not give you permission or does not make it right for you to do something like this to them in the future as a way to get even or to hurt them back. What is wrong with you? You're a grown woman. Get over it. I'm sorry. That pisses me off. At the end of the day, I know what I did was best for me regarding the MLM. I let them know I was leaving and I did what was necessary for my health at the time, and I don't regret it. Good, you shouldn't. Thank you for fighting for those who can't find their voice yet. You are making a difference. Whew, your story got me kind of fired up. Oh my gosh, it's the pettiness. It's the levels that people are willing to stoop to because they're hurt by their MLM or because they didn't make money out of it or something. How about you blame the business model for being set up that way, that when somebody on your team quits or they leave you, you're left high and dry and you don't make money anymore? How about instead of blaming the person who left based on health issues, how about you blame the industry? How about you blame the business model? How about you blame the company? How about you blame yourself for being involved in that and perpetuating it? I'm sorry. I am so mad about this. It's so immature. It's so childish. It's so hurtful. And I'm so sorry that this happened to you. You absolutely did what was right for you at the time. You should not be ashamed of that. She should be ashamed of herself for the way that she treated you. This story says, "Hi Hannah, my name is Charlotte and I'm a receptionist in a funeral home. I've had a few experiences with MLMs over the years. These mostly came in the form of hey hun messages on Facebook from people I knew in high school, but last month I received a pitch in the last place I would have ever expected, my place of work. It all started when one of our clients came in to make arrangements for her late husband. As I was going over some of the preliminary questions with her, a woman came bursting through the front doors. She rushed up to the desk, thrusting a thick magazine in my face. I recognized her as Brenda, name changed, a former neighbor that I was friends with on Facebook. Brenda proceeded to launch into a sales pitch about how she could help, quote, freshen up the appearance of our dearly departed clients using Mary Kay products. Wow. She claimed their makeup would help them look more radiant and lifelike for the viewing. I was absolutely horrified and struggled to form a response. What do you even do in that situation, especially because you have a client there with you? This woman just lost her husband, and here comes Brenda with her blushes and lipsticks trying to fix it all. Like, oh my God. When I regained my composure, I tried to politely decline Brenda's offer, but she refused to take no for an answer. Thankfully, the funeral director happened to come out at this time and told her not so gently to leave. I apologized profusely to the client, and she was surprisingly understanding. We shared an awkward laugh at the absurdity of it all. Brenda bombarded me with messages and videos about the opportunity until I blocked her. A few days later, Brenda showed up while we had a grieving family in the arrangement office. She barged in, makeup case in hand, and started extolling the virtues of her supreme hydrating lipstick to the widow. The family was understandably distraught and offended by the situation. We had to physically escort Brenda out of the building, and we told her that if she showed up again, we would call the police. Since that second visit, she hasn't come around, but for a solid week, I was dreading the sound of the door chime, worried that it was Brenda coming to harass us again. The entire thing left me baffled and honestly angry, but I'll leave the commentary to you because I'm sure you can phrase it all better than I can. Well, you're giving me a lot of credit because I am speechless. Where is the courtesy? Where is the class? Where is the respect? Who in their right mind conceives of the idea that, oh, I'm gonna go to the funeral home today. I'm gonna barge right in there. I'm gonna leave my courtesy at the door. I'm gonna pitch my products right in front of these grieving family members, talking about how I'm gonna make their dead relatives look better with a little Mary Kay lipstick. It is foul. It's like when you sign up for an MLM, you're signing away your human decency and your ability to act normally in social situations. No one in their right mind is going to think that this is an okay thing to do. But I say it all the time, it's like your brain is rewired. You're just not thinking clearly. You are doing things that are not okay and you're unable to see how they're not okay in the moment because all you're focused on is the dollar amount at the end of it. But all you achieve in the end is somebody who comes off as pushy and aggressive and disrespectful. Making a sale of some Mary Kay makeup in this moment is not worth your decency. I just can't believe that she came back a second time. That is shocking because that tells you she didn't learn anything from her behaviors the first time. She didn't see how that was messed up. It wasn't until you threatened to call the police on her that she decided, oh, I should probably stay away. That probably wasn't okay to do. Absolutely unreal, truly unhinged behavior from Brenda, the Mary Kay hun. So sorry this happened. I'm glad she never came back. I hope that you're not still panicked every time the doorbell rings or when somebody comes in. And thank you for sharing your insane story with us. This story says, I have a strange one for you. I've changed all the names, sorry for the length. My family has had quite a few run-ins with MLM schemes over the years. It Works, Young Living, Mary Kay, etc. The one I'm speaking on, though, is Mona V, back before it went into foreclosure. In 2010, my dad, who's a military vet with PTSD and health issues, and our family were invited to a barbecue with some family friends to celebrate a DD-214. This is a form given to somebody when they leave the military, and my dad and his buddies like to celebrate and surround their friends with as much support as possible when making such a huge transition. One of the guys there, let's call him Henry, brought his girlfriend of only a week, let's call her Mona. At these gatherings, there's often a lot of drinking, sharing stories, personal struggles, and honesty that can only be understood by vets that have been through the hells of war. They all want to see their friends make it in civilian society, and they don't want anyone to feel like they're in it alone, so no topic is off limits. Divorce, struggles with families, thoughts, flashbacks, health issues, etc. The typical things our veterans suffer through after serving. As all of this was underway, hours into the barbecue, Mona decided that she was going to share her vast insights into physical and mental health. Enter Mona V. Oh, I get it. You named her Mona. Mona, the Mona V hun. Got it. In front of all of the vets, 10 or so, plus their families, she pitched her product that she just so happened to have in the trunk of her car by chance. She claimed that her product could flush the system of toxins, was full of antioxidants that could help fight all kinds of illnesses, and how the acai berry was the best superfruit that affected the brain and offered a mood boost that helped her anxiety and depression. Obviously, none of this makes sense, but she pitched this to a space full of drunk veterans who just wanted to be able to be happy and healthy and back to their normal for their families. These guys would have done anything she said when she pulled the phrase, "Wouldn't it be great for you to feel like your old self again? Not just for you, but for your wives and kids?" She had them hook, line, and sinker. Many of the wives were on the fence, but they weren't sure how to argue it when their husbands they'd seen struggle every day were adamant about it. Mona took the guys out to her car, accepted cash and checks, and dispersed the product while the wives and kids started to clean up the remains of the barbecue. The husbands came back in stating that they bought 2, 3, and some even 4. When we got home, my mom realized that Dad had bought 2 boxes of this miracle in a bottle, not just 2 bottles like she thought. In fact, all of the guys had bought at least 2 boxes. In the morning, she found out that each box was over $100 each, and she lost it. But Dad was still adamant. What was a couple $100 if he wasn't going to spiral anymore? If going to the store didn't make him want to crawl out of his skin? If he could help his compromised immune system? He was a very trusting man, but Mom was firm and she reached out to Henry to get Mona's number, only to find out that Henry had been trying to call her, but the number was going straight to voicemail and her Facebook was gone. Henry swears he only knew that she was in sales and had no idea that she planned to pitch to them, but she was gone. Come to find out, Henry met Mona on a Facebook page for vets and families after he posted about how he was struggling after his divorce and looking for advice. She preyed on him and bid her time and hit it big time at that barbecue. She leaned into hearing everyone's stories, learning their concerns and struggles, and she waited until they were not only emotionally vulnerable, but mentally as well, ensuring that everyone's drinks were topped off the second they were empty. What we thought was her being friendly was just her being calculating. Thanks for taking the time to read this long story. It definitely changed my worldview that day, and I think what you're doing is great. Please continue sharing the videos and stories and pointing out the predatory practices of these MLMs. We send our best to you, your family, and your precious fur babies. Thank you. So I'm speaking from the position of somebody who is a military spouse, and that's where this rage is coming from. How dare she? What a disgusting, deplorable thing to do. Military veterans reintegrating into civilian life, especially after something as traumatizing as war, are some of the most vulnerable members of our society. And to think that this woman was calculating enough to seek out Facebook groups full of vulnerable people only for the purpose of weaseling her way in, making a quick buck, and then disappearing is inexcusable. You'll hear about this kind of thing all the time, where people in MLMs will intentionally join specific Facebook groups dedicated to certain illnesses or ailments or life stages or interests or whatever it may be, kind of specific to or related to the product that they are selling. But usually it only goes as far as that person making a post in the Facebook group advertising their product. Hey everyone, I know we're all struggling with this. I have a product that can help. Here's my link. Let me know if you want to buy anything. And thankfully, a lot of Facebook groups are being managed to delete or remove these kinds of posts from their group pages, or a lot of the admins of the group will put up like a no soliciting policy of some kind, and you could even get kicked out for doing something like that. I think this might be the first time I've heard of somebody joining a Facebook group, singling out one specific person, pretending to be their girlfriend for a week until they go to this barbecue, packing up all the products in their car, going to the barbecue, waiting until everybody is intoxicated, and then pitching them the product, making a huge amount of money off of that, and then delete the profile, done with this, moving on to the next person. It's like MLM catfishing in a way, pretending to be somebody you're not or misrepresenting your intentions to get something else out of it, some ulterior motive. And that really sucks that she could get away with it because they were exchanging cash for products out of the trunk of someone's car. Like, there's no record of this anywhere. These days, thankfully, you have to visit somebody's unique link and order through the website, and then the company's fulfillment center sends it to you, and they have a customer service department and whatever. But something like this where she pitches it to you, she offloads that inventory, and she hits the road with that cash, like it just drives me nuts. It's so sick and disappointing and disheartening that there would be people out there that would do something like this. It's just awful. And at the end of your story, you said, it definitely changed my worldview that that day, and as it should. Some people just suck. Some people have just really bad intentions, and they're looking to do harm, and they're looking out for themselves and themselves only, and they will bulldoze over anybody to get what they want. And sadly, those kinds of personality traits come out the most in things like MLMs, where you are so money hungry, you've got your eye on the prize, and you will do whatever you have to do to get it. And in this case, I'm really sorry that it was your dad and his military buddies that were the target of her deception. This story starts by saying, trigger warning, gross medical descriptions. I wouldn't read while eating. Hi Hannah, I hope you're doing well. I've been enjoying your MLM content since I was suggested it when watching scam phone call videos. That's interesting. I've been anti-MLM since I was 14 years old, as my mom has been wrapped up in various MLMs for my entire life. I have memories of going to Stella and Dot parties with her when I was a little kid, and when she isn't selling, she is supporting her friends in MLMs. Recently, she's been on a Juice Plus kick. But this story isn't about Juice Plus. It's about doTERRA. My mom was really into doTERRA when I was younger. She would use oils for just about anything, citing, if they're good enough for Jesus, then they're good enough for me. She would put the oils in pill capsules and ingest them, and she would also cook with them, which for everybody listening, you should never ever do. Do not ingest oils. You don't need to put them in your food. Just use spices. That's what they're for. She also used oils on our many injuries. For example, my brother is a basketball player and frequently dislocated his knees. She would put frankincense oils on his knees to help him heal. I'm sorry that I'm laughing, but like, if your joints are dislocated, I don't know if putting oil on the exterior of your body, on your skin, is really gonna do much, but at that point I would have to assume it's probably somewhat of a placebo effect if it did do anything at all. Like any teenager, I had acne. It wasn't cystic acne or anything, but I had occasional breakouts. However, I would often pick at the pimples, which led to scabs, and my mom would always try to treat these with oils. One day, I picked a pimple, my mom saw the wound and decided to put frankincense on it. Straight up oil on an open wound. I protested, saying that the oil was burning, but she brought out her classic, well, if they're good enough for Jesus, then they're good enough for you. Are you better than Jesus? I mean, how can you argue with that, right? A few days later, the pimple had grown back, but it was constantly oozing. I wasn't touching it at this point, but it popped frequently. I put a bandage over it with Neosporin, thinking that it was infected. That day, I went to a park with my friend to work on a science experiment for class, and she told me that my face looked swollen. She said that it looked like I had been punched in the face. My mom continued to put the oil on my face, and it burned every time. I continued to have this for an additional week, even going to school with this massive pimple and swollen face. I assumed that I had a sinus infection because I was congested and had some gnarly sinus infections in the past, almost always treated with peppermint oil where I looked similar. It got to the point where my teachers were concerned about me and tried to convince me to see the doctor. On Easter, I was running a fever. I excused myself to go lay down, missing the Easter ham. This concerned my family, as Easter ham is one of my favorite foods. My aunt, who is a nurse, came in to check on me and noticed my swollen face. She told me I needed to go to urgent care the next day as it looked like I had a staph infection. When I went to urgent care, I was immediately taken back to a room. Blood tests, swabs, and scans were done, and it turns out I had MRSA. For those who don't know, MRSA stands for methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, and I 100% had to look up how to say that before I read it in this video. It's a type of staph bacteria that is resistant to many common antibiotics. When the doctors asked if I had been picking my pimples, I shamefully said yes. However, my mom piped in that it shouldn't have been a problem because she had been using doTERRA therapeutic grade frankincense oil on it. The doctor's eyes just about popped out of her head. They scolded my mom for putting oils on an open wound and explained to her that therapeutic grade is just a marketing term. Which, yes, that is 100% true. doTERRA has a registered trademark term called Certified Pure Therapeutic Grade. It's just something they made up, okay? It doesn't actually mean anything, but it's got that fancy little R with a circle around it symbol next to it, so it makes you think that it's something really official. Therapeutic grade essential oils is not like a standard in the industry. That's just something that doTERRA came up with and slapped that label on their product. I ended up having to be on IV antibiotics, but thankfully I was able to come out of the situation completely unscathed. My mom stopped topically applying oils. However, she continued to ingest and diffuse them for another few years. I've been able to semi-successfully explain how MLMs are problematic. She stopped buying from doTERRA, but she still diffuses her remaining oils. She no longer sells oils and only really buys from her friends. It still isn't great, but I guess it's a kind of harm reduction. Thank you so much for reading this. Please give my love to the cats. The crazy thing about this is that I'm getting flashbacks to another story I read in a different horror stories video. I wish that I had like a filing system of which video this ended up in, but there was another horror story that was written into me that was nearly identical to this. I believe it was a high school age child with a mother who was really into doTERRA, who would apply the oils topically and use them for all the ailments and wouldn't really take the child to go see medical professionals when there was something wrong. But in that story, I believe it was like a skin condition on their ear or something. I want to say it was eczema, and it wasn't getting better. Eventually, it got to a point where it was oozing and it would stick to their pillow in the morning when they woke up. And it was somebody at school, I want to say it was a teacher, who encouraged them to go to the school nurse and get it checked out. And then the mother finally took them to a dermatologist, and it was a staph infection. How wild is that there are two nearly identical situations of children with mothers who are really into essential oils, who both ended up at the doctor with a staph infection because their treatment was delayed. The oils didn't work. The oils do not work, people. I've always maintained that I feel like oils are good for aromatherapy and not much else. They smell nice. Sniff some lavender for calming effects. Sniff some peppermint if you're a little nauseous. Both of those things can work. But putting oils on your knees when they're dislocated or putting them on open wounds, it's not helping anything. It's making things worse. It's only delaying the actual medical treatment that you need. And it kind of infuriates me because now we have not one, but two examples of this happening to young people. And if there's 2 of you, there's a dozen of you, there's 50 of you, there's 100 of you out there who have all had similar experiences. And it's like, this has got to stop. When are we gonna stop thinking that oils cure everything? Oh my gosh, I'm just so frustrated by this. And to the writer of the story, please know, I'm not directing this emotion at your mother specifically. It's just generally speaking, I feel like people who get themselves involved with essential oils MLMs, during the time they're involved with that MLM, it's like they suspend all of their critical thinking. They are ignoring the evidence that is right in front of their face. Here's my daughter, she had a pimple, she picked it, okay, it probably would have gotten better in a few days, but no, I'm putting oil on it and more and more and more, and it's only getting worse and worse and worse. What does that tell you? The logical conclusion that you can come to is that, the oils might not be working. And it especially enrages me when it is minors who this is impacting. This is parents who are inflicting this pain on their child. And it's really sad because in that situation, the child is somewhat helpless. You're reliant on your parents to keep you safe, to keep you healthy, to do what they need to do to help you feel better. But when you have a parent who's deeply entrenched in an MLM company where they believe the world of their products, sometimes that can have negative health outcomes for the child, and it's really, really upsetting. The end of your email is encouraging, though, that it sounds like maybe you've been able to get through to your mom a little bit, at least on like why MLMs are bad, or maybe why you wouldn't want to support them. She's not all the way there, but she's getting there. That's progress. We love to hear it. Thank you for sending in your story. This story, the subject line says, MLM horror story, essential oil tampons. So prepare yourself. Oh my God. It says, hi Hannah, I'm a longtime watcher and first-time writer, and I want to share a story that I hope you and your viewers will find both entertaining and educational. Quick trigger warning, this story contains talks of medical issues, pregnancy loss, and things getting put on tampons. This is a long one, so buckle up. To set the scene, I have 2 family members who are very high-ranking in Young Living. One of them is at the literal top of the pyramid. I have a plethora of MLM horror stories, but since this is my first time writing in, I figured I would start with what I think is the most horrifying one. About 10 years ago, I woke up in the worst pain I've ever experienced. It felt like my abdomen was being sliced in half. After a quick trip to the emergency room and a long day of CAT scans and ultrasounds, it was determined that I had a large ovarian cyst that had ruptured. Thankfully, since it had already ruptured and was just under the size that requires surgery, I was sent home with pain medication and told to take it easy. When I went in for my follow-up visit, I was formally diagnosed with PCOS. PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, is a hormonal disorder that affects people with ovaries. It causes hormonal imbalances that can lead to multiple cysts on the ovaries, irregular periods, and higher levels of certain hormones, androgens. These imbalances can result in symptoms like acne, excess hair growth, and weight gain. One of the more challenging aspects of PCOS is its potential impact on fertility, making it difficult for some people to conceive and/or carry to term. Since I was only 19 at the time and not interested in conceiving, my doctor and I decided that the best option for me was the hormonal birth control pill. Thankfully, it's worked and I haven't had another large ovarian cyst in 10 years. After getting home from the initial hospital visit, my husband's then boyfriend's mom came to visit and check up on me. She brought with her the Essential Oil Desk Reference. This massive book and its sister book, the Pocket Reference, are used by almost everyone deep in the Young Living community. It's essentially an encyclopedia of Young Living essential oils. Although it's frequently referenced by high-ranking members and Young Living's official staff, the company is not held responsible for the wild claims contained within its pages because the book was written by an independent independent contractor and isn't technically endorsed by the company. Probably for legal purposes, you know? The desk reference guide explains how to use essential oils for a plethora of different situations and ailments, everything from cleaning your car to curing cancer. My mother-in-law was ecstatic to find the sections on ovarian cysts and female hormone regulation. She eagerly opened the book and explained that it suggested putting frankincense plus a few other oils onto a tampon and inserting it into the vagina. Please do not ever put anything on a tampon without consulting a doctor first. And even still, can you think of a doctor that would tell you to put anything on a tampon and put it up there? I can't. Maybe it exists, but I would find it extremely hard to believe that a doctor would recommend anything like that. Frankincense is a hot oil known to cause irritation and burns if not heavily diluted. Even though I was young and much more naive at the time, I was absolutely horrified by this advice. I had never heard such a thing, so I went to Google to see if anyone had ever done this before. To my shock and horror, there were multiple articles of people doing this. Some had third-degree internal burns from the essential oils, and some needed reconstructive surgeries due to the severe internal burns. Needless to say, I did not take my mother-in-law's suggestion. Please seek medical advice from medical professionals, not from an unqualified salesperson's book. Consult a doctor. Unfortunately, the story continues. A few weeks after this incident, my mother-in-law reluctantly dragged me to a Young Living conference all about their new makeup line. The makeup conference is a whole horror story in itself. My mother-in-law used the opportunity to introduce me to a royal crowned diamond. Let's call her Jessica. Jessica told me her Young Living testimony. She had tried for years to have a baby. She lost multiple pregnancies at various stages until she was finally diagnosed with PCOS. When she got that diagnosis, she turned to alternative medicine and found Young Living. After her naturopath put her on an essential oil and supplement protocol, she finally was able to get pregnant, stay pregnant, and have 5 or 6 children. Her miracle product was Progessence Plus, a progesterone supplement made by Young Living. She advised me to take it daily, both orally and applied it to my lower belly to balance my hormones. Jessica was and is not a medical professional. Here is the crazy thing about this. I feel like I know exactly who you are talking about, just based on the details given in this story. I think I featured her in a video of mine before. I'll put a screenshot of that video here and I'll link it below if you want to watch it. It was titled Young Living Zoom Call: Scary Advice for Using Essential Oils in Pregnancy and Postpartum. Now, of course, there is no way to know if the woman featured in that video is the exact same woman you're talking about here, but what I can say is that it would not be unlikely that there would be multiple people in Young Living also reporting something like this. I was struggling with infertility, I took Progessence Plus, and oh my gosh, I got a baby. How insensitive, how disgusting. I can't even begin to get into how that's so horrible and what a terrible thing to say and what an unfounded claim to make. But the point being, I posted this video back in 2022 and I will never forget this woman. Her words are seared into my brain for life, and I will never forget the medical claims that she spouted off in that video, saying all this stuff about how Young Living can cure infertility. It's sickening. And a lot of the details match up. She talked about having struggles with infertility, she talked about using Progessence Plus, and now she has like 5 or 6 kids, and it was truly a horrifying video. I was actually pregnant at the time that I filmed that video, and so I gave a lot of commentary debunking everything she was saying because I had a lot of firsthand personal experience at that time going to the doctor. What supplements should you take? What should you do? What should you not do? It is an older video, but I do feel like it's just as impactful today as it was back then, so I'll link it below if you want to check that out after this one. All of that to say, I just want to corroborate what you're saying. I have no doubt that this was said to you, that this person did make these outrageous claims to you, because I have seen it with my own eyes. I have a recording of it. And even if it's not the exact same woman that you encountered, we can definitely say without a doubt that this kind of thing does happen in Young Living and this kind of nonsense is spewed. So back to your story. A progesterone supplement would have been very detrimental for me to take because I naturally produce too much progesterone. Introducing more progesterone into my system could have exacerbated my hormonal imbalances, leading to a host of other health issues. Right, exactly. So she's claiming that this worked for her, but we know that that's not also going to work for you. It's not a magic pill. It's not a magic cure-all. And that's a great example of how it can be so dangerous when people in MLMs just recommend certain supplements to you because they don't know your health history. What they're recommending to you could actually be bad for you and worsen your health conditions, but they don't care. They just want a quick buck. I want to clarify that I don't believe Jessica or my mother-in-law are bad people. They are being misled by a company and a community that preys on their vulnerabilities and desires to find natural solutions to health problems. Jessica and my mother-in-law genuinely believe that they're helping others, but it's companies like Young Living that need to be held accountable for the harmful and often dangerous advice their salespeople give. These companies use slick marketing and logical fallacies to convince well-meaning individuals to spread misinformation. solution, often at the expense of their own health and the health of others. People like Jessica joined companies like Young Living because they were in crisis seeking help, and Young Living, or someone selling it, offered them what seemed like a solution. I truly believe that Jessica thought that she could help me. She didn't understand the ramifications of what she was saying. Not that that makes it any better, but I do think it's important to not demonize the individual members of a cult. It's the cult itself that is problematic. Absolutely. Thank you for that reminder. Thank you, Hannah, for providing a platform for people like me to share their horror stories. By allowing these stories to be told, you are creating a space for these companies to be held accountable by the court of public opinion. You are spreading awareness about the dangerous misinformation created, propagated, and spread by these companies, and helping to protect others from falling victim to the same pitfalls. And thank you for the opportunity to trauma dump and to vent. It feels good to finally be able to share these stories. I'm so thankful for the anti-MLM community for helping me feel sane, even when I'm surrounded by a family full of Huns. What a beautiful conclusion to your story. Thank you. I think that you summarized so nicely exactly what these horror stories are for. Give people a platform to share their stories, and we can not only be entertained by them, but also informed by them so that we can protect ourselves going forward too. I really appreciate you writing in this story. You offered so many great insights. And with that, my friends, that's all the stories I have for you for today's MLM Horror Stories video. A huge thank you, as always, to those who wrote in their stories. I'm so appreciative for your effort, for your vulnerability, for your willingness to share some really deeply traumatic things that have happened to you, while also offering some light and some humor and some entertainment along the way. I'm always on the hunt for more great stories to keep these horror stories videos coming, so if you have your own, please check out the description box below for instructions on how to send that to me. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you in my next one real soon.